so much preparation to not go live when it actually came out. What's going on, guys? It's Ricky here with TechBud Solutions. I hope that you guys are all having a better start to your Thursday than I am. Today is August 10th. It is 5:45 here in the morning in Arizona, and I slept in. I set my alarm for 5 o'clock, and I said 5 more minutes, and what is that? 40 minutes later, I'm here. So I really do apologize. I'm bothered myself, but just so you guys can see, I have no open position on either side. I have my one lucky share on TQs and my one lucky share on SQQQ. So no trades have been taken just yet. Guys, I'm so sorry. I do apologize for not going live right when the CPI data report came out. I have no words, I have no excuse. I just dropped the ball. So it looks like, let me go ahead and refresh this. I'm going to pull this up. Looks like our current inflation rate is at 3.2%, which is not as bad as what was expected. Forecast was 3.3%. So again, looks like market actually gapped up. So it makes sense, right, on why the market's trying to push up. Based off of the past couple of days, market has been correcting itself due to, I think, the CPI data report being expected to be worse than what was expected. Looking at the 1 minute time frame, we did see a nice little push. It didn't hold very well. It doesn't really surprise me it didn't hold. We corrected ourselves nearly to that break even, and then began to recover. So just blame Remy again. No, Remy has been good. Remy's been sleeping all night and in her own room. So that's not the problem at all. It was just me, just a tired guy, I guess. It was nothing burger anyways. So it's the principle. But I'd like to break down the CPI data report with you, if that's okay, right? Very quickly. These, just for those that have never read a CPI data report, the way that you read it is as overall CPI up here. It should have all items less food and energy right on over here, which means that this is core CPI, which is also a really big factor as of right now, right? So it says all items less food and energy. Increased by 0.3. Rose by 0.2%. Okay. That's what I'm saying. All right, and core CPI is at 4.7%. All right, and there it goes. It looks like we have another nice rip up. I'm getting quick changes of direction here for NASDAQ. But okay, overall CPI 3.2%. Core CPI came in at 4.7%. As we can see right on over here. When it comes down to the line items, so remember, these are all the different line items that are being tracked, and all it's really tracking for the month of July, right? So you just go down this list. These are just previous months. So if you wanted to look into that, you can, but it's just this one that just got added. It's for the month of July that gets reported in the following month, which again for August, that's what today is, right? July, you could see that there's consistent rises. The biggest decreases that we saw a 0.4% decrease here. We saw this was the biggest drop that we saw. It was a negative 1.3% drop on used car prices. So that means that used car prices are still going down. We saw a drop on new vehicles. We saw a drop on commodities, less food and energy commodities. And then we saw a drop on electricity, and we saw a drop on energy services. Everything else saw an increase. So it looks like fuel oil saw one of the biggest jumps, and that's a 3% increase for fuel oil. So that's not the best thing, as we've been seeing a consistent drop in fuel oil for the past, 6 months. So that's something to take into consideration. It looks like we're hitting a slight little resistance here. Again, just because I trade something does not mean that you need to How's that energy? Energy is the only one that the energy sector that's always kind of been the concern, right? Because inflation itself is the one that has always within energy is the one that saw the biggest jump. But as you can see, I mean, it did contribute the largest amount, and that's a 3% increase for fuel oil. But other than that, I mean, everything else was, it looks like everything else was under 1%, right? 0.2, 0.2, 0.3, 0.2, 0.1, 0.3, 0.2. Fuel oil at 3%, 0.2, 0, 0.5, 0.4, 0.4, 0.3. So other than that, if you wanted to look a little bit more into the details, but the gist is inflation did go up in the month of July. That's not really a surprise, but I don't know if you guys remember this formula that I showed you guys, or these charts that were shown. Yep, and here it goes, right? This isn't an updated. Yeah, this is for June 2023. So the PDF always takes a little bit longer for it to be released because we just reported on the month of July. So with the new month of July and the old month of July, we took away 0.00, right? And then we added 0.2, which was the increase that we saw for overall CPI. So that's why we're now sitting at that 3.2%. When it comes down to core CPI, we previously were sitting at... for core CPI, we're right on over here. We were sitting at, what was that? Based off of the previous one. Where is that at? 5.7%. And we dropped to 4.7. Let me double check that. It says all items less food and energy saw an increase of 0.2, but we took away whatever it is that was being contributed into that. So 3%. All items less food and energy index rose 4.7% over the last 12 months. So no, that one does look pretty good. Did you get into TQQQ? Nope. I did not trade anything during that pre-market session. I didn't hold any shares overnight, just like I talked about. As of right now, it looks like we're kind of just consolidating within this phase of a potential resistance at 41 and support here around 40.30, right? If you're looking at QQQ, we're testing our nice little resistance range here. We're not seeing... I mean, NASDAQ is still up, and it's up a decent amount, right? 1%. I mean, it's still something. So to see a move at the 2.6% mark, not bad, but it is showing signs of weakness, right? So it corrected itself shortly after the report. So we'll see if that momentum continues or if we actually begin to show signs of progress on the upside for TQQQ. Okay, how are you guys feeling about this CPI data report? So raise your hand if you are a bull, or also raise your hand if you locked in profits, right? So did you lock in profits? Do you see that because of current market sentiment being more bearish than it's been bullish? Do you see that right when the market opens? Do you see the potential for the market to sell back off? Do you think that it's going to begin to recover and actually bounce off of that moving average, right? So do you think that it's going to break above that EMA and then begin to make a full recovery back to previous highs, right? What's your expectation? Locked in profits, or locked in some profits on TQQQ, but still have a position. Nice. TQQQ 245. Stay in cash. Okay. So Captain Games, I like to profit on my first account, but left open on the second for break even. Okay. We're still testing that same resistance. So not the type of activity that you normally want to see during I guess it just depends on what you want to see, right? For a CPI data report, there's just not much continuous momentum. So Apple up 0.8% pretty much. Amazon up 1.6%, 1.26, sorry. Meta indicating signs of an uptrend. I mean, everything is holding above the moving average and trying to push up. So that's nice to see. Tesla's looking pretty overbought, but again, it's only overbought if it begins to correct itself. No progress, waiting for the market to open. So I just want to make money today. I'm no bull or bear. I move with the money. That's good. That's a good approach. Ricky, can you talk about setting alerts? I don't know what there's to talk about, Todd. You set alerts at specific levels or ranges that you want to be reminded that if that stock that you're paying attention to broke above or below, right? Don't overcomplicate it. Don't set an alert for something you don't actually care for. Be intentional with your alerts. That's all, right? If there's a resistance that we're testing, then that's what you set your alerts. But alerts don't get triggered during pre-market or during extended hours. So just a heads up on that. Yep, we are testing that same resistance. I mean, that's essentially why I took a quick little position on SQQQ. So if we get that confirmation and we break above that EMA, I'll add a little bit more to it. It'll be my first trade of the day. But just like I explained to my LPP team yesterday, right? Normally, especially if I'm doing well, one of the things that I like to remind myself is, again, my first couple of trades don't have to be perfect. Obviously, if you're under the PDT rule, you have to be a little bit more calculated because you're limited to the number of day trades that you can make. But for my first couple of trades, I mean, if you're feeling uneasy, if you're feeling uncertain with the market, you can either choose just to stay cash or you can try to warm up. You stay light enough that if things begin to go south, instead of adding more to it and being hesitant to cut losses, you just accept that, okay, I'm going to keep this loss small, and that's my morning stretch, right? That's like the way that I'm warming up for the day. I'm warming up on how to manage and mitigate risk if things don't necessarily go according to plan, rather than overcomplicating it and end up back holding or adding more to something that I hope recovers, right? Keep it simple, cut losses, move on to the next, right? How do you decide how much size that you want to take on your first position? It depends on conditions, right? If I were to tell you, we view it as like a volume, right? If conditions are extremely favorable, right? If conditions are extremely favorable, direction is in your favor, market sentiment is in your favor, you're seeing obviously price action to be in your favor, like everything that you always look for is in your favor, your upside potential outweighs your downside risk. At that point, conditions are more favorable where you're more likely, right, because of conditions, to trade with more money, right? You've averaged up, or you can choose to average up, and then now you're in a position where you're like, okay, I have a hefty position, but it makes sense. I have my reason why. My criteria is met. But kind of like either right now, it's kind of consolidating. Yes, there is potential, but not really. There's no confirmation. I have less ground to stand on to be aggressive as a bear. Make sense? So therefore, I respect what the market is telling me. Rather than hoping and wanting and needing the market to do what I want it to do, I'm open-minded enough that I realize it doesn't have to, right? And I respect that rather than making it or breaking it, right? So like right now, SQQQ is beginning to sell off. If I was an absolute beginner, right, I would be maybe adding more to my SQQQ position. How many of us have made that mistake? Show me a hand up, because I know not only have I made that mistake before when I just got started, I've made that mistake probably last week or maybe 2 to 3 weeks ago, right? And I think that's the misconception that a lot of people have, is like, you think that as time goes on, you're just going to be perfect. Heck No, again, this is the whole point that, our LPP team get to watch me trade live. It's when I make mistakes, they get to see it, and I have to hold myself accountable of like, okay, I was being such an idiot. I made such a simple mistake, but simple mistakes cost you real and a lot of money when you're trading with more money, right? So it's something that we all do. And it's not that you have to pretend like you don't. It's just that it all comes down to how bad you want it. That's really what it is, right? So if you see that you continue to make the same silly mistakes over and over again, you know that you're buying before confirmation, you're bag holding positions overnight, you're buying the dip and the dip keep dipping, you're doing that to yourself, not the market, not whatever group yet you're a part of, you. So you either understand that, right? This is why when I talk about journaling your trades, it's so you retain that information. At least for me, it works, right? You retain that information. You talk about what you did good, what you could have done better, and what, for me in that journal, I talk about what the current market sentiment is moving on for the next day, right? I want that journal entry to be not only valuable for the day, but also for the next days to come, right? So I give a quick little summary of where I see the market heading. And I think that's so important, right? That when things do begin to go south, that you're just quick with it. That you're like, okay, I don't want to overcomplicate this. Obviously, I saw potential, right, with SQQQ for this thing to potentially recover. But now it's just selling off too much. I don't want to tolerate this anymore. I'm just going to cut losses on it. And cutting losses does not make you a bad trader. Cutting losses does not make you a shitty trader. Bag holding a position like AMC people makes you a shitty trader. That's one of the jokes that we have with an LPP is I always have to try to do a low blow for the AMC bag holders. It's literally just the joke. I really don't care. But it's just to make you guys laugh. But you guys know what I mean, right? Risk management does not make you a bad trader. It makes you a better trader. It makes you one of the better, because anyone can make money, but can anyone manage and mitigate risk, or will anyone do that, right? The making money part is easy. We're obviously happy when we're making money. It's when things are going south that you need to control yourself, right? That's where the challenge really is. Think about it. Actually think about what trading is. It's not just making the money, but it's also not giving it all back. Right? Just imagine the position that I had yesterday in SQQQ, right? I had a $500,000 position in SQQQ. Imagine if I would have held that position overnight because I hoped for SQQQ to move up. I would be down 3%. 3% might not mean a lot to you. But remember, it's all relative to perspective, right? You don't intend to continue to trade with what you're trading with. So 3% of $500,000 is right? $15,000. Imagine waking up and being down 15 freaking K. That's not a light pill for me to swallow. That's tough, right? And I don't care if you trade only with, $500 or $1,000. You're like, oh, well, 3% is really just 3% for me. It's just, $30. I could tolerate that. It's not about that. It's the principle, right? What was the risk to reward? There was no structure there, right? There was no risk management there. You held because you could, because you're like, well, $30 isn't really that much. But now how long is it going to take you to make those $30 back, right? It's all perspective. Look at the 30-minute time frame, checking it out. Yep. Oh, I know. This ascending uptrend pattern are you talking about this being ascending, right? And still holding above the moving average? This is when I took my position yesterday in SQQQ, right? When SQQQ gapped down. And we don't know if it's going to continue to do this, right? Because there's a reason yesterday, the reason that the market gapped down and then recovered, That was, just what was being factored in. Now the report actually came out. There's a reason on why the market's pulling on back. So although the previous times, yes, we did pull on back and then we recovered and then we sold off and then we recovered. This is called an ascending higher low, right? So when it pulls back, it doesn't go as low as it did before. When it pulls back, it doesn't go as low as it did before. When it pulls back, it doesn't go as low as it did before. That's called an ascending upward staircase pattern. It's like a staircase, right? It's ascending highs and ascending lows. Make sense? But again, trying to be optimistic. I mean, I have every reason to want SQQQ to go up. And I have a position, right? I just showed you that I took my first position in it. But I understand that it doesn't have to, and I understand why it's selling off today. And it's because the report did come in a little bit better than what was expected. So because of that, I'm choosing to respect it. Now, if we see a full break-if pattern, I will cut losses on that position on SQQQ. I have a light position. I can tolerate it. I can manage it, and I'm okay with that. I'm not going to add more to it as long as direction is not favorable, right? And although I do see potential in this ascending uptrend pattern, I just think that the bulls have enough of a reason to rally today that I'm being cautious. Remember, I'm not perfect. I can't predict the future, and neither can you. You can be aggressive, but then that just means that you're taking on a little bit more risk, which you don't have to, which there's nothing wrong with it, right? You could reap the benefit if you're like, I'm going to buy the dip. I'm going to buy the dip right now, and it makes a full recovery. Great. I mean, you could potentially make at least 3% if we return back to previous highs, but I just don't want to have that attitude right now towards the market. I've been working really hard to get to this point where I've seen a really nice return for the past couple of weeks, and I just don't want to get too confident because I know my red day is right around the corner, right? We all know that. Our red day is just right around the corner for us. There's no reason to overcomplicate it or pretend like it's not. So if I do have a red day, I'm gonna keep it small, so I can either recover from it, or even if it is red, it's just a very small setback. I don't want to lose 10K today, just like I did on Monday, right? Ricky, are you trading live when the market opens or here on a different stream? I'm only going to be trading live with the LPP team, so you guys should know that. I'm going to be closing out this stream in the next really 5 minutes. So the next 5 minutes, the stream is going to be closed. Then I'm going to be hosting our private live session with the LPP team at Market Open, which is 22 minutes from now. Remember, I work with one team and one team only. So just imagine daily sessions like this, but I'm actually trading within those sessions if I see an opportunity present itself. You get to see my entries, you get to see my exits, but most importantly, you get to hear my thought process behind every single trade I take. So if that's something that you want to experience, you don't have to, right? If you still want time to think about it, if you still don't know if it's something that you see value in, take your time, right? I'm not here to rush you into anything, but if you want access to me, if you want access to the A to Z video lesson library, if you want access to the daily live trading sessions, I mean, you would literally be able to watch me trade live as soon as this morning, right? You sign up, and in the first 3 sections of the course, we provide you the link and explain to you how you watch me trade live. So it's a one-time payment, lifetime access. It's $175 off. And you kind of just ask yourself, right? Do you want to continue to try to figure this out on your own, which you 100% can, but how much money will you lose and how much longer will it take? Or would you rather join our team? I provide you the structured content, which again, you can learn how to do something anywhere. That's not the question. I'm not here to oversell it. You can learn everything everywhere, anything anywhere, right? But how will you know what to look for if you don't know what you're looking for? And that's the whole point of having structure, right? That's the whole point of our daily live sessions. It's to be a part of something where, again, you get to sit back and watch someone do. At least for myself, I'm more of a visual learner. So for those that are as well, I retain that information a little bit better. But again, the link is the second link in the description down below. If you don't see it, feel free to refresh it. It's $175 off. It's our biggest sale that we will ever have going on. And it's a one-time payment, lifetime access. And yes, you'll get to watch me trade live as soon as this morning if you sign up right now. And by Market Open, which gives you 20 minutes, you need to watch the first 3 videos in the course, because that will explain to you how to get access to the Discord chat and how to get access to our live trading sessions. This live is private? It wasn't supposed to be. Oh boy. Man, I am on one today. This is what I get. It's not even a Friday, right? It's like a Thursday, and I'm this discombobulated. If I'm gonna blame, that's my fault. I was like, I'm gonna blame that I had to wake up at 4 a.m. yesterday to go flying. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we're gonna have people tune on and be like, "What the heck, Ricky?" Yeah, there it goes. Whoops. What was the guy's name that told me that it's private? Jake. You guys ready for this? Was it Jake? Yeah, I think it was. Or CD Street. Yep, I think it was Car D Street. So I'm going to blame it on him. All right, guys, the reason that today's video was private, it's the CPI data report. First off, you didn't get the video to over 1,500 likes. And second, we had, what was that? Car D Street asked me to make it private and not make it public because, I messed up. I had it unlisted instead of it being public, and we had the whole CPI. Well, I guess it was still a little bit late, but yeah, it was my fault. I forgot to click one button. I went from, sorry. But CPI report came out. Market's pretty much trading sideways. If you're asking what I'm trading, so I opened a position on SQQQ. I only have 5,000 shares. I bought it pretty much at this average, right? Which is around 1870. When it comes down to TQQQ, I have no open position. It's just on SQQQ, the 5,000 shares that I just opened. 5,000 shares is relatively, like a 5 to 10% position size for me, just to put things into perspective. The CPI data report did come out. It came in a little bit lower than what was expected, or as expected for, I guess, some forecasts. But it came in with overall CPI at 3.2%, seeing an increase of 0.2. Just like we talked about yesterday, we did see a jump from our previous inflation rate of 3%, now back up to 3.2. And core CPI came in at 4.7% in the last 12 months. The biggest increase that we saw for the month of July was an increase of 3%, and the biggest drop that we saw in the month of July for inflation was a drop in used car and trucks, and that was a drop of negative 1.3%. So I am extremely sorry. I'm very sorry. I mean, there's no reason to sugarcoat it. It's my fault. I slept in for the first part. This second part of this live, I was private. I only give access to the people that follow me on Instagram, or the people that follow me, I guess, on are part of our Discord group. So I do apologize for that. It's not like anything crazy happened, but again, more for the principle. I'm just all over the place this morning. So we actually had a really good conversation. I don't know if you guys we had a couple of rants this morning, and it was just more for beginners, right? So if you're not a beginner, I really don't think you would have benefited too much. But if you're a beginner, especially someone that's struggling with risk management, someone that's struggling with, being selective, and the idea of not being right every single time, I feel like maybe you should watch the earlier part of this live session. I think it was good. We had some really good points to make, and I really hope that it encourages some of our beginners to just look out for themselves, right? This is a market where you do want to be selfish. You do want to look out for yourself and your future self. That's really just it. We're setting up right now to go live with our LPP team. which is again our private live trading session. So if you want access to that, that's going to be the second link in the description down below. It's $175 off. It's a one-time payment, lifetime access. It's our biggest discount, and you'll get to watch me trade live every single day starting today. But you have 15 minutes to sign up and watch the first 3 videos in the course, which should be enough time. And then you'll learn and understand how to get access to our Discord group and our daily live sessions, which are all included in LPP. So I really do appreciate you guys' time. I hope that we're into thumbs up. I hope that you can consider giving me a thumbs up, even with all the mess ups that I've had today with being late and also having the video being private. But hopefully I made it a little bit easier to understand for the CPI data report. And if so, again, please consider subscribing if you guys haven't done so already. If you have any questions, you guys should know how to reach out to me. That's the first or third link in the description down below. And again, don't forget to pick up your favorite items at shoptechbuds.com or the fourth link in the description. We got Inside Trader of the Year with Nancy Pelosi, Buy the Dip with Warren Buffett, or Thrillionaire. We have the Make Your Own Luck, the Wall Street Tees. These are all available. And on top of that, we have everything from our trading mouse pads, our accessories of the journals, and even some wall art, right? Especially if you like the ones that I have right behind me. So appreciate your time. Hope that we're into thumbs up. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note.